Well, hello there. It's Cat Lady Justin. This is the Kitty Boss, where we pick, pamper, and protect your practically perfect pussycat for a lifetime of unconditional love. I know our friend Pam is watching, the crocheting cat behaviorist, because she already said hey. So shout out to the loveliest crocheter on earth who makes the loveliest things for your cats and for you too. So hi, Pam. This is Justin, and I have a very special episode for you today. So obviously this is the Catching Up monthly episode with Dr. Rachel Geller, but wait until you hear this. So rather than spend a lot of time on one topic, we're actually going to go rapid fire on a whole bunch of topics, a half a dozen topics or so, because this is an awareness month, but it's an awareness on a whole bunch of different topics. So without further ado, let's bring in our favorite guest, Dr. Rachel Geller, for our monthly catch up. It's always great to see your happy face and hear your happy voice. Dr. Rachel, welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
I'm well, Justin. Thanks for having me this month. I'm really excited about our format today. It sounds great.
Yeah, I'm excited about this today. It's not by design. This is done by just fate because get this. All right. So I already shared it with you backstage, but May happens to be, of course, May the 1st is May Day. We know that, but that's over and done with. But it also happens to be Asthma Awareness Month, Anxiety Awareness Month, Borderline Personality Disorder Awareness Month, Sleep Awareness Month, the 7th through the 13th. So we're actually almost at the end now, but we're in Sleep Awareness Week. The 21st is World Meditation Day, and it's also Arthritis Awareness Month. So we have all of these different things to be aware of this month. And you know what? We can definitely spin them for cats because here at the Kitty Boss, and of course with Dr. Rachel, we can pretty much spin anything to go with cats because we are cat mad. We are magical creatures. So, so I thought we'd talk about all of those things today. And I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss one. So actually, I kind of misinformed you. So it's not Asthma Awareness Month. The 2nd of May was actually Asthma Awareness Day.
Right.
And we'll talk about that because it's relevant to cats. And my father had asthma. So he suffered with asthma most of his life. I remember the inhalers, and he called them popka and whatever. And so I remember all of that. So we should talk about it. And we will talk about it definitely. If there's anything you can think of that relates to May Day, which was the 1st, also over and done with at this point, we can add that into. So let's talk about asthma first and foremost, because my dad had asthma. So it's in the family. I lucked out. I didn't get it. Allergies instead. So we can maybe hint at that a little bit because I know a solution. You want a cat, but you think you can't get one because of the time, because of the money. So we know how to disprove that one already. There's the Kitty Boss book coming soon. It fits any budget. Plus, there's your amazing nonprofit organization, All Cats All the Time. So, if you're struggling with money, All Cats All the Time via Dr. Rachel's website, which we'll talk about and share a little bit later, has everything that you need to fit any budget, literally. But let's say you think you can't get a cat because you've got allergies, you're allergic to cats. We have a solution to that too. And it's not relevant to our guest today, but these ladies at the Two Crazy Cat Ladies, they have a solution. So at thekittyboss.com/2 crazy, the number 2 CRAZY, you can go and learn more. Just look up allergies and you'll see what I'm talking about. That's not the point of the show though. So back to asthma. Some people might be suffering from asthma. So when it comes to cats, do you know what? That never stopped my dad from getting a cat. He had cats when he was growing up. We always had cats, us growing up. So ever since he's a child, and now he takes care of lots of cats. So never stopped him. But there are people who think, oh, I've got asthma, or my daughter has asthma or whatever, so we can't get a cat. So what would you say to that?
Well, my husband has asthma and we have 2 cats. So I would say, it's very possible. I think the key is, with anything is having good medical care, having good understanding of how your particular asthma is caused. A lot of people think it's the cat's fur, but it could be the dander, it could be the saliva. So there are all kinds of things that go into it. So having a really good diagnosis, having a really good understanding of where your particular problem is stemming from is very, very important. And with anything, staying on top of things, maintenance. There are all kinds of things you can do with keeping your house clean and keeping the air in your house clean. There are all kinds of remedies with that. But I also want to point out that your cat can have asthma as well. And,
Uh-huh.
we talk a lot about people having asthma, but cats can also have asthma. So it's really important. If you see your cat panting, if you see your cat sort of gasping for breath, that's not normal for a cat. So if you do see that in your cat, just like you would, in a human, be sure to seek out veterinary help for that, because I don't think people realize that a cat as well as a human can't have asthma. But definitely, short bullet answer. I know we are doing short answers today. Asthma is definitely necessarily not at all a reason to not get a cat.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you brought up, because I saw a video on social media of a cat that had the asthma. And so it's something that we need to be aware of. If your cat has asthma, you should help your cat help your cat overcome this thing. Asthma and allergies often go together, which is why I kind of threw
Yeah.
that in there. And I had allergies growing up, so it's very relevant. But yeah, so cats can have asthma too. So Asthma Awareness Day happened last week, but we need to be aware that it's aware. There you go. We need to be aware that cats can have asthma too, and we can help them, and we should help them if you hear those signs that Dr. Rachel talked about. So let's move on to or before we move on to the next one, I wanted to show you this one. So I mentioned that last month, April, was my birthday. Oh, I think if I hold it near my face, it's
Oh, there you
better.
go. Perfect. Perfect.
There you
Perfect.
go.
Yeah,
It
right
thinks
there.
it's my face. It's a book called How to Tell If Your Cat is Plotting to Kill You. Apparently a #1 New York Times bestseller. But it's really cute. It's full of cartoons, and it's very, very amusing. If anybody happens to know the author, send him our way, because I'd love to talk to him. I'll try to get a hold of him. But in any event, if you know him, send him our way so that I can interview this very, very funny and clever cartoonist and author who wrote this really charming book that was a birthday present from my partner, along with this little cat pen. You can see a little kitty cat pen. So it's really cute, and a bunch of other stuff that we won't talk about.
I have one of those too. This is my
Oh yeah. Oh, that's even a bigger, more obvious one than mine. All right, cool. So we've done the asthma. So this month, or let's talk about this week, because this week from the 7th until the 13th, which is tomorrow. And of course, if you're listening to this and it's not May and it's in the future, that's fine. All of these issues are relevant to you as well. If you're in another hemisphere, it doesn't matter. It was water awareness sort of week, water intake, water hydration. Let's stay hydrated. For humans, that's super important, but it's even kind of more important for cats too, because cats have a tendency, which some people do too. I know I have this problem, honestly, myself, which is we don't drink enough water. We get dehydrated and we don't even know it. Sometimes we think we're hungry, but we're really thirsty, or whatever it is, or we just go for too long and forget to take a sip from our water bottle or whatever. Cats are even more so prone to this because they're originally desert creatures. And so they have a tendency not to do that. And if you feed your cat kibble, it's even more important for them to get hydrated because there's no hydration in the food. If you give them wet food, that's generally where they get most of their hydration from. They still need to have access to clean drinking water. But there you go. My cats, I have to add a little water into the wet food itself because they don't drink enough on their own, and they'll end up with like crystals in the urine and other signs of dehydration. So if you see pink wee-wee in the litter box, pink is generally a sign of crystals. Nothing to panic. They're probably dehydrated, but definitely take them to the vet to make sure there's nothing else going on. But it's really important. So there's all these issues. And of course, you always remind us of the importance of the clean water and getting rid of that gross film on it. Your cat doesn't want to drink that. So there you go. So that's water. So let's talk a little bit more quickly about water, and anything else that you'd like to say about water, or teach us about water, or make sure that we don't forget.
Yeah, well, you're right. I am always reminding people to get rid of that little microfilm on the water, because it might seem relatively innocuous to us, but cats do really hate that layer. So so it's really important to get our cats to drink enough water. Your tip of putting extra water into the wet food is a great one. It's a really easy way to just, in a benign way, get more water into your cat's system. If your cats do only eat dry food, you can do the same thing. You can sprinkle a little bit of water onto the dry food, just enough if your cat really likes that crunch, just enough so the dry food absorbs the water. It'll be that much more water that your cat is getting. Make sure the water bowls are long and narrow, not deep. If the water bowls are too deep, the whiskers will rub against the sides, and cats don't like that when they're drinking water. So make sure the water bowls are narrow and long rather than more like small and deep. Last, there are some cats who really need to see that running water. So for those cats, you may want to invest into a water fountain. And they're all different types. There are ones that are battery operated. There are ones that are Wi-Fi. There are ones that are plugged in. I have one that's a motion detector in it. So it only turns on. I only hear the noise when the cat is close to it. So some people don't like that noise of the fountain running all the time. I have one that lets, when the cat's near, it turns on. So, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. A nice clean bowl that is shallow, doesn't have the microfilm on it, is cleaned regularly. The water's always fresh. Will definitely do the trick.
Yeah, and I mean the interesting thing is that my cats, unlike your cats, don't like the fountains. So I tried. I left that thing there for a long time, a year or more, and then I got rid of it because they just wouldn't drink out of it, and it was just a fountain in the middle of my living room, which was useless to everyone. So there you go. So just remember that cat hydration is super important. We have someone that says if your cat ever figures out how to operate a can opener, yes, it is out to at least give you a warning. Okay, I gotcha. Again, I can't see who you are. You might want to reveal that later. It has to do with the configuration probably on Facebook, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube. But that is very clever. Yes, indeed. Yes, and of course, our good friend and your biggest fan, Michael, says, "Great show as usual. Just poking in. Great cat top." Dr. G. Ah, yes, the cat top. Yeah, it's definitely a really nice one, isn't it? I'm wearing just the same one I always wear. So it's just I got my cat pin, my cat patch, and that's it. But that's one I haven't seen yet. So that is a cool one. So thanks for pointing that out, Michael. So anyway, I want to talk about cat meditation later because it's the 21st is National Meditation Day. But the reason I want to bring that up is not necessarily that cats meditate, but there actually is a history of meditation. There is a cat meditation that you do that requires a cat in order to do this meditation technique. And it's pretty funny and it's pretty cool to think how it came, the history of it. So I want to tell you about it, but I'll tell you about it a little bit later in the show, just to leave a little cliffhanger there. And also because one of our friends that we know, who actually is here in the UK as well, does a lot of meditation and energy work with cats and will help a person sort of tap into messages from their cat, but tapping into to some higher power. And it's very, very cool. The warning W. Again, not sure what you mean, the warning W, but okay. If you could let us know, we'll figure that one out. So more on meditation later. But there's two issues here that really surround mental health. The warning was from Mark Golden. Ah, gotcha. So Mark, howdy. Yeah. Another one of your biggest fans, and we love you, Mark, and Michael, and everybody who listens. So thank you. Yes, thank you for being there. So anxiety and borderline personality disorder. It is the awareness month for both of those things. But let's and there's something that surround mental health, right? And the interesting thing about that is that everybody knows at this point that cats can and will help with your mental health. So will dogs. Any pet, really. I mean, generally we favor mammalian contact. So will a reptile or a fish help with your? Probably a little bit, but not to the same extent. It's that mammal, that contact with a mammal that really has been shown in most studies to help with mental health. I don't think they've wrapped a boa around someone's head or neck, and that has relaxed them. I don't think that's really happened in studies. Like, here you go. Let's try to release your anxiety. And okay, here's a python. Would you like to hold that and have it wrap around your neck like a scarf?
I'm getting anxious just listening to that.
Yeah, that's not happening really. absolutely. So we're talking about mammals. I mean, it could be bunnies and all that, but cats and dogs in the main, um, on the mental health. And when it comes to borderline personality disorder, there's only a joke to be made there, which is that cats have 9 lives and lots of personalities. There's the zoomy one, the nice one. Anyway, but that's just a joke. But cats have been proven to help with the mental health of a human. That is without question. But there's a special additional degree when it comes to anxiety. And I always talk about it because it's one of the reasons I worship cats. And that is that they don't just help with your mental health, they also have this additional feature, which is awesome, which is they can activate the purr mechanism. They can activate the purr mechanism that has been shown in many, many studies at many universities and scientific laboratories and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff, that purr has the frequency, if you measure the frequency, that actually resonates and will lower the cortisol levels in a human. It will reduce, in other words, reduce your stress levels, reduce your anxiety. Will it cure it? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it will lower it and will help. And it's been shown to physically do that. So while a dog is a wonderful creature, they don't physically heal you. They'll do things for you physically, like they'll fetch something that you need. A service dog will go get a notebook. You tell them, I'll get my towel. It'll get your towel. So they'll do all those things. That's why they're brilliant, but they don't heal you. A cat will actually start buzzing or purring, and it'll heal you. And it's the only creature on this planet that does that. And there are even healing frequencies. There are even CDs. Like I have one. If anybody wants it, I don't sell it. So just let me know. Send me a message. I'll be happy to tell you where it's at. Ambiology Pet Waves, I think it's called. They have a dog one too, and it's calming for cats, but it's calming for humans as well. And it's based on that frequency of the purr. So it starts out with a purr, So it's an amazing little audio track. I love it. My cats love it, and it's based on that. And so when it comes to anxiety, cats will physically reduce your anxiety as well as emotionally and all that. So I wanted to really talk about that for a minute. So anything to add there, Dr. Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, it is quite amazing that, the cats really do have that healing capability. I would add one thing, and that is that cats can also have mental illness. Cats
Oh, right.
Cats can have anxiety. Cats can have stress. Cats can have fear. Cats can have compulsions, just like people. So I really like to put it out there that I personally, as a cat behaviorist, have zero problem giving a cat medication. If a human being needs medication to get about in this world and be happy and survive, we would not hesitate at all to give that person the necessary medication. And I feel exactly the same way about cats. Cats, just like us, can have different chemical imbalances, different neurological disorders, different anxiety, whether it's, chemical, neurological, or environmental, just like the things we deal with. So if your cat does have anxiety, please do seek out veterinary help, because we are so lucky that we live in an age where we really understand cat anxiety and cat mental illness, as well as we understand human anxiety and mental illness.
So that's good to know. That's something that we learn about now, is that cats can actually also suffer from mental anxiety, basically, and other conditions like a human can. And don't do what this person I heard about on the internet does, which is the cat was peeing outside the litter box, so she brought it to the vet for euthanasia. Don't do that. Luckily, the vet didn't go with it. The vet took the cats, convinced this psychopath to sign the cat over to the vet. The vet took the cat, got it adopted really quickly, and the cat has a happy life and a forever home now. But what kind of moron? And I'm sorry. I know I'm being really mean here, but if you're the type of person who has a minor issue like the cat wee-weeing outside of the litter box, which is easily solvable, you go to the vet, you take care of it, you talk to Dr. Rachel, job done, and you're going to euthanize this? And it was a beautiful one too, this blue-eyed, beautiful Himalayan thing. You're going to euthanize a gorgeous animal for that? Then there's something really wrong with you. You should be the one. No, I'm not going to go there. So in that case, So our friend Pam, the crochet, says, I get my daily dose of kitty therapy several times a day. I mean, so do I must get it a dozen times a day, whether it's the purr or just a cuddle or just a play, whatever it is. My cats definitely help me all throughout the day, and it's amazing. And I think this is probably Mark again saying, it has been my experience that mammal contact generates a release of oxytocin, which is not the it's not a drug. That's the neurotransmitter within the human brain, right? Yeah. Oxytocin, because it sounds like oxycontin. It's not. It's not the drug. We're talking about the neurotransmitter naturally produced in your body. Since my dear cat Angel died, and I really miss her. Yeah, that's of course. Yeah, and by the way, our good friend Dr. Vibeke Seymour is a pet bereavement specialist. So if you need assistance more than what you can handle by yourself, then definitely reach out to her via our group, the Kitty Boss, or you can reach out to me and I'll connect you to Vibeke. Oh, it's not Mark. Again, this is the sort of the frailty on this system is I can't see your name. It just says Facebook user. So I know you're on Facebook, and one earlier was Mark. So I'm not quite sure who this is, but whoever you are, yeah, if you need help, let's just let us know. So but if your cats need help, you need to let your vet know, or let Dr. Rachel know as well, because that's really, really important, because they can't help you if they're in distress. So get them helped, and
sometimes
they'll
it's
help.
behavioral or environmental or more enrichment, but sometimes it really is chemical, neurological, or some type of PTSD or trauma that the cat had in her past. So there's help.
Yeah, which of course many of our friends who do rescuing and that kind of stuff, they'll take in cats that have those kind of issues.
Yes.
So the next thing on the list here is sleep. So we actually happen to know and have interviewed on another podcast, which I used to have, called Just in Answer. I interviewed probably the world's foremost sleep doctor, Dr. Michael Bruce, an amazing sleep expert and doctor. So sleep is something I'm very aware of, and I'm very aware of my sleep. And as everyone knows, cats sleep a lot. So they definitely sleep a lot more than people do. Some people, most people. And so when it comes to cat sleeping, there are normal amounts of sleep that a cat does, and then there are excessive amounts of sleep, which can be a sign of an issue, can be a sign of anxiety, or maybe a sign of ill health or depression or something like that going on with the cat. But normally they should be sleeping quite a lot, as we know. So let's talk just a little bit about cat sleep. So we have to the environment, should we wake them up? Because they certainly have no issues waking us up if they want something. And of course there's snoring, because like my Emily snores, and that's kind of funny. And so what should we be aware around that, and other stuff. So let's talk about sleep and cats for a bit.
All right, you got it. So so if a cat is sleeping too much, we do want to break up their daytime napping. We don't want our cats to be sleeping all day long. So I mean, anyone who listens to me knows that I'm a big advocate of interactive play with a fishing pole or a one-type toy. But I understand if you're working during the day, whether it's outside of the house or remotely from your home, you can't be playing with your cat all day long. So for me, the best solution for this is a type of toy called a puzzle feeder. The main benefit of a puzzle feeder is it mimics a hunt, and it mimics like that challenge and strategy that the cat would have when a cat is hunting. So when a cat is hunting, he's planning, he's strategizing, he's thinking about his next move, he's sizing up the situation. So puzzle feeders are the same way. The cat has to overcome some type of a challenge to accomplish a task and get the puzzle feeder to dole out the food. And this is a terrific way to break up a cat's daytime sleeping and to provide enrichment for your cat. A lot of times cats sleep too much is because they're bored. So puzzle feeders are a terrific solution, as are interactive activity toys. And then, when you are home, playing with a cat with a fishing pole or a wand type toy is terrific. For, you mentioned how they have no problem waking us up. it's often because of that lack of play and lack of stimulation during the day. So if you think about our schedules and the cat's schedules, right? Like we're busy during the day with our work or our daily activities. We come home at the end of a long day and we want to sit on the couch and relax. But your cat, on the other hand, may have been spending most of her day napping. So when you come home, she's like, all right, you're home. I'm ready.
Playtime.
Yeah, I'm ready for some real interaction. So you're winding down and she's revving up. And eventually that, natural pent up energy is just going to be too much to hold back. And then you get woken up at 4 a.m. So play, the puzzle feeders during the day will break up her daytime napping. The interactive activity toys will provide stimulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get home, a couple of interactive play sessions with a fishing pole toy will push that hunt, eat, sleep cycle later into the night, which means she'll sleep later throughout the morning.
But what about that cat? Like she doesn't do this every night, but sometimes Charlotte will not come upstairs and sleep in the bed. So she'll stay downstairs. And then at some point at 2, 3, 4, I don't even know. She'll start that howling as if it's a mating call, right? And it's like, and I'm like, oh, and then it's of course too cute. So I'm like, Charlotte, and I call her. I want her to come up, and sometimes she'll pop up. Sometimes she'll make me come down and get her. Sometimes, and I'm just like, so is that because it's a day that she's bored, you think, or she's just wanting some attention, or she's just like, where are you? And I'm like, all right. And she expects me to come and get her. I mean, do you have any inkling what that could be about?
Well, a little bit of all of the above. And I will say that the first time you respond to that, now you're sunk because she has now learned that if she meows in that certain tone for that certain length of time, she's going to get, your attention. And that's okay if you don't mind. Some people really mind it, but if you don't mind it, it's really not a big deal.
Is there anything to do about it? Because I mean, I know I've responded to it. I can't not. I don't know how not to respond to that. It's just too. It's almost like heartbreaking, But is there anything to do about it?
The closer to your bedtime that you can do an interactive play session with a fishing pole or wand type toy, the better. Because when you play with the toy in a way that mimics a hunt, you put your cat into her hunt, eat, sleep cycle. So the closer you can do that to bedtime, the longer that sleep cycle is going to go on the other end. So if you do it a few hours before bed, you may get a cat waking up, waking up in the middle of the night. But if you do it right before bed, like the last thing you do before you close your eyes, you're going to extend that sleep cycle on the other end.
Oh, right. And then sometimes she sleeps under the bed, which is really strange because like she normally has her place here, and then occasionally she chooses to go like sleep under me. And I'm wondering whether that's more maybe of an energy thing. She's feeling there's something off about me, or maybe I'm snoring or something too much and so she's going under there. Anyway, I'll have to ask her.
Yes, do that and report back.
Because that's just a unique feature of Charlotte, because Emily doesn't do that. Emily is always on the bed. She's very consistent, and she's also very consistent at sleeping with B on there, whereas Charlotte's not that consistent. So I said we talk about meditation, and so we have that yet to talk about, and we also have arthritis to talk about. So let's talk about the arthritis first. And arthritis is interesting because some cats do get that, and of course we get that, and when they get older, it's more of a feature. And both my cats are now considered senior cats, so they luckily don't have arthritis, but some cats could end up with feline arthritis. And so what should we do about that? And then our friend Jennifer says, can I ask an off-topic question? Well, as long as it's about cats. I mean, if you ask me a question about dogs, neither one of us are dog experts, nor are we marriage experts or counselors or anything of the sort. So if it's about cats, then sure, go ahead and pop it in there and we'll definitely answer it.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we'll talk a little bit more about arthritis.
Yeah. So number one thing consideration for arthritic cats is the litter box. You really want to make sure you consider the sides of your litter box. So if the litter box is high-sided or the sides are just too high for your arthritic cat, she's not going to want to climb over those sides because it's going to hurt her. It's going to cause her pain. So really think about having a low-sided litter box if you have an arthritic cat, or even a litter pan. Or I've even had some clients who have cats who are so arthritic that I've suggested using a cookie sheet or a baking sheet for a litter box as opposed to a traditional box. So, if you have an arthritic cat and you're noticing litter box problems, chances are, the cat is just having a lot of pain climbing up over those sides into the box.
Yeah.
The other thing with an arthritic cat that you want to consider is cats still need to play, whether they have arthritis or not. So modify your style of play, and rather than doing play that involves the toy going up in the air, do more ground level play. So do more play that would mimic maybe a mouse scurrying on the ground rather than a bird flying in the air.
That's a good point. Yeah, and then if you have cats like mine who like to sleep in the bed, you might need to put a little stepping stool or
Yeah,
something so that they can actually still get on it, and so that they don't have the additional heartbreak of no longer being able to sleep with you, because
yeah,
that's important for them. I mean, for people like me and you, probably it's important for us. Like I know people who are like, I'm not the only one who really can't sleep without their cat. I mean, I don't know if she's listening, but my friend Deb, who lives near not too far from here, she lost her beloved cat of a long time, and she says she can't really sleep without her, and
yeah.
that's really sad.
Yeah, there's all kinds of kitty ramps and kitty stairs. There's all kinds of adaptive things for cats who are older, have arthritis, or even overweight cats benefit from a lot of that too.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not even sure that maybe actually this Facebook user who lost a cat named Angel, because that actually I think was the name of the cat. I don't know if I remember correctly, because I have a lot of friends. So I think that might actually even be her. So it's a real feature. So sleep is really important, not just for the cats, but for you too.
Oh, sure.
Some people need their cats to sleep. I don't sleep very well, even when I travel, mainly because I miss my cats. I like how I feel reassured when they're there, especially both of them, but at least one of them. And so it's really a very important thing to know that your sleep is affected by the cat, and the cat's sleep is affected by you. So we have a question from Jennifer, which is great. So my sweetie pukes and poops blood if she eats anything but the Hills Science diet I feed her. She's very thin, but acts normal. As long as she eats the one food, she does okay. Is this typical? I don't think it's typical, because most cats can eat a variety of food, and most cats actually do very, very well on raw food diet. But your cat sounds like, Sweetie has a health condition that requires a special diet, and so she, eats that diet, and anything else disturbs her. So I'm assuming this was a diet prescribed by the vet,
Yeah.
and so that is it's not. The answer to that is no, it's not typical, but it's peculiar to your cat, and that's the diet. I would not recommend switching that if you notice that the cat
Right, right.
does that. So
Yeah, particularly if this food was prescribed by your vet, I agree with what Justin just said. It's not typical, but it's not unheard of either. I have a lot of clients whose cats, there's like this one food that they can eat, and that's
mhm,
it, and that's what they have to stay on. I have cats who the only food they can eat is like I had this one client, and it was prescribed by a vet. The only food they could eat was something that was like a mixture of pea and duck, like something very, very
mhm,
plain. But that was what that cat needed for her skin allergy. So, um,
right.
while not typical, it's not unheard of. It's uncommon, but it does happen that for whatever your cat's particular chemistry and digestive issues, just like people, right? There's some of
Yeah,
us that just cannot eat a certain thing, no matter how much
yeah,
we would want to. And, if we veer from that diet, we get ill. So our cats
yeah.
can have the same
I mean,
problem.
some people are gluten intolerant. Some people can't have this, can't have that. Some people break out when they have chocolate, or are sensitive to tomatoes, or sneeze when they have citrus. I mean, everybody has food sensitivities, intolerances, or allergies, and so it may be something along those lines. Jennifer did specify that it's not prescribed, so that's fine. But if you observe that this is the diet that your cat does well on,
Yeah.
then there's no reason to switch it if she's acting normal. Now, Jennifer does say the cat's very thin, so that
Yeah.
could be an issue. But as long as the vet's monitoring her, some people are thinner than others. Some cats are thinner than others. Not every. I like a plump cat, but not every cat's plump. Some cats are thin. I like a skinny human. I'm not skinny. I'm not fat, but I'm not skinny. And so it's great because I'm with someone who's skinny, and that's what I like. But they don't like skinny; they like me. So it's the same thing with cats. Some cats are just naturally skinny and thin, and maybe that's good for your cat. But that's a real question for your vet to look at the cat's condition, their blood work, their whatever, all those different tests that they run. That's where you can get a real answer to that question.
Yeah, I agree. I want to throw in the fact that she's very thin and that she's that sometimes there's blood in her poop would be cause for me. I mean, as long as your vet knows these things and knows that she's on this diet and this diet seems to be working and your vet is okay with everything you described, then I'm okay with it too. But I am concerned if you did some trial and error, but she's very skinny and we did have that blood. That's a little bit of a more serious issue. We don't really know what's going on. So let's just make sure there's not something brewing in there that's more serious.
Yeah, thank you. I worry. And I think you mentioned your cat has the little condition where it shakes and stuff. So that's probably also affecting it. But yeah, I mean, this is a real question for the vet. And that's our best recommendation. Because it's not something that is that even a vet couldn't diagnose this kind of thing properly over the phone or over Zoom. They have to check the cat out. They have to do, whatever tests they have to do, salivary, urine, blood. They might want to see some of this poop. They'll do all their tests that they need to do to determine what's going on with the cat. And that's the best recommendation because we say, we want to pick, pamper, and protect the practically perfect pussycat. So it's really that to protect your pet properly. Part of that means regular routine vet checkups and visits, not sporadic ones when the cat has a broken arm. It's just a routine thing that you can do. That said, I know somebody who had a very, very ancient cat, 3 of them, and he never took any of them to the vet even once, and none of them have even their shots. So it can work, but when you have concerns about the cats like this one, that's when you really need to lean on a vet. The CH cat is chunky. Okay, never mind. So it's not the CH cat. The CH cat is nice and plump, so that's good. But take this one to the vet.
And if he's okay with that course of action, I mean, it sounds like it's fine. I think the blood part worries me more than the thin part.
Yeah.
Like Justin said, we're all different sizes. I'm underweight. I'm always constantly trying to gain weight. I'll slip under 100 pounds if I get nervous. I know this is a problem that nobody feels sorry for me about. Everybody,
yeah.
But that has its issues too. So you don't want to be too thin.
Yeah.
It's interesting that a lot of the vets are changing their guidelines on, the size of the cat because cats lose weight so quickly when they do get sick that they're kind of leaning towards now maybe having a little more fat than they used to lean towards.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, definitely. Nobody pities you, Dr. Rachel. It's like I said, it's exactly the same problem my partner has is trying to keep the weight on, and I'm like, right, okay, you're not getting any mercy for me. I look at a carrot and I gain weight from a carrot, from a vegetable. Whereas you pig out and you look like an underwear model. So nah. No mercy. No pity for that. But I understand that there are challenges, and I know what they are because I see them getting chilly very quickly and other kind of things, trying to keep warm and all that. So I totally respect that. So the last thing to talk about on today's show is happening not next week, but like a week and a half from now. On the 21st is World Meditation Day. So I actually do like to meditate. So I do meditate. It keeps me sort of grounded and it helps me a lot. But some people have heard the story already, but there is a meditation that you can do that actually requires a cat. And it's really, really funny. And it happened, I think, 400 years ago. There was a monk in a monastery somewhere in China, and he loved cats, just like I do, just like Muhammad the Prophet did, just like many other famous people in history did. So he loved cats. And so he would, meditate, and there'd be usually a cat on his lap. And the other monks kind of saw this and they thought, right, the cat must be they just assumed this. He wasn't teaching this. The cat must be helping him transcend deeper and more profoundly, and blah blah. They invented all these stories around it to the point where they said they required a cat for their meditation technique. So I'm not going to teach the technique here because that's not the kind of meditation I do. But it's funny that this thing just spread, and so you had monasteries all over the Chinese Himalayas that they were doing a meditation with cats. Who knows? Maybe that's why a Himalayan cat came about. I don't know, but that spread until one of the successors, who was the head of the monastery, was allergic to cats. Mm-hmm. So he got rid of this practice, and everyone accepted it because they thought, it's kind of a overcomplication to require a cat for every monk that's meditating. You gotta, if you have 60 monks, you're gonna have 60 cats, and that could be a lot to maintain. So they eliminated that, and they figured out, it took them, I think, about 200 years to figure out that this was all a myth, that the cats somehow not only have domesticated humans and gotten us to embrace them, they've actually connived the monks, the spiritual meditating monks, to adopt them into their spiritual practice. So it took 200 years to dispel that myth. And then, so before anybody like our friends who do the energy work jump on my back, and then it only took another 100 years for university studies, like I mentioned earlier, to prove that cats physically lower cortisol levels in a human. That's the stress hormone. They help your brain waves, they help your hormones, they help everything out. So they reduce stress, they heal, they calm, and therefore they do help you transcend easier and deeper because they take your stress away. And they do lots of other magical, energetic things, but we could talk about that another time. So when it comes to meditation, I know some practices say don't have a cat in the house or whatever, but there's actually a meditation that requires a cat, and that's how it developed. And so I think that's a really funny story, but I think it's also cool. I love it because I love cats. And so World Meditation Day is coming up on the 21st of May. So let's think about that, and let's meditate on our cats. or Google this technique, you guys. Try it out and let me know how you get on with it, because that would be really fun to do as an experiment just for on World Meditation Day. I know Pam likes it because she's put little smiley faces there. Yeah, and I bet you if she listens to it, our other friends who do the energy work would love this story too. And I know people who do Reiki, and they've said that cats, and this is on the energy level, so it's less scientific, but it still works, will go to spots and sort of remove or dissipate the negative energy from those spots. So it could be on you, it could be in an area of the house, and that females dissipate it and males kind of hold on to it more and tend to have more health issues because of that. And so cats do energy work on that level. So I don't know if you've ever heard that story, if I've ever told you the story before, but do you ever do meditation?
I don't really meditate, but I do love to do distance running. And I find when I do distance running, it's a similar thing. My mind really wanders. I think about things. I kind of get in my own world. When I come back from a run, I feel very, very, calm and refreshed and thinking clearly. So I think it's a little bit the same thing. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's probably a moving meditation for you. But I guess it doesn't involve cats.
That definitely doesn't involve cats. But I'm not someone who wears a headset or the earbuds. I mean, I go out just me and the world and let my thoughts go and kind of lose myself in the run. So there's definitely a meditative quality to it.
Aspect to it. Yeah, for sure. So Jennifer says, if I'm angry, I pick up a cat and instantly feel better. Absolutely.
Instant stress relief. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think you can be mad and be holding a cat. It's if it's possible, there might be something wrong with you, because that's just an impossibility. Now, I personally find it impossible to be mad at a cat. So even if a cat is doing something like damaging the house, or when Emily was a kitten, she broke an antique jade Chinese puzzle ball from China. Now, if anybody knows what that is extremely rare and valuable. That should have probably been in a museum, to be honest with you. But we had it, and never mind how we got a hold of this antique 100% jade puzzle ball. That's like a sphere with a little ball inside. It's nearly impossible to make anymore. Very hard to find, very expensive. Should have been in a museum, and Emily broke it. Now, I should have been mad at Emily, but when she looked at me with the owl eyes and just
she didn't know.
She didn't know. I just couldn't be mad at her. I couldn't. I picked her up, and and the spanking consisted of caressing her thighs and back quarters, and saying, "Oh, Emily, you shouldn't have done that," but caressing her, and that's the extent of my punishment. So it's really not punishment. So I don't find it possible to even be mad at a cat, even when they do something nasty or destructive or whatever. Not to say that I want to, get bitten or scratched or whatever, but I just don't get mad at them. So if they're not doing anything like that, and you happen to be in a state, whatever that state may be, angry, let's say, or upset, and you pick up a cat, you can virtually guarantee that you will feel better, and you will feel better pretty quickly, which is why it's, in my opinion, so important that people get cats if they want a cat, even if they think they can't have one, not just because we have the cat population that needs lots of people to adopt them, but because of all they can do for you as a human being. We have a relationship that is symbiotic. So there you go. Cats, meditation. We talked about a half a dozen different other things in the month of May that were relevant and popping up. And of course, we just recently had a coronation here of a new king and his queen consort in England. And it happened on a Catterday. So, coincidence? I think not. And it was fun because, female cats are queens, as we know, and so it happened on a Catterday. And so that's it. That was the month of May. It's been an eventful month, a busy month, and it's going to continue to be a rather eventful and busy month with all of these awareness days that we have going on. So I think that's really cool. So is there anything else you'd care to say or ask before we end today's show?
I would just say, happy May. Now you know how to solve every May-based problem with or for your cat, and, enjoy the nice weather that May brings.
Thank you very much. So, Dr. Rachel, it's been awesome to have you again. We had a nice show, full packed with lots of little bits instead of one or two big themes. I think we might do one or two big themes in June. We'll see what comes up. We'll see how many thematic days I can become aware of, and then maybe we'll do another one of those. But I think June is going to start, we kind of know what we're going to talk about. So because of the hot weather coming up and some holidays with, boom booms and all that kind of stuff. So we know what we're doing about. So it's been really good to catch up with you once again, Dr. Rachel. So I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you in a couple minutes. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Cat Lady Justin. This is the Kitty Boss, where we pick, pamper, and protect your practically perfect pussycat for a lifetime of unconditional love. I want to remind everybody that this has been a catch-up with Dr. Rachel Geller, the cat behaviorist, who offers horror behavioral services absolutely free of charge. www.drrachelcatbehavior.com, drrachelcatbehavior, drrachelcatbehavior.com. It's free. If you're thinking of surrendering your cat, don't. Give Dr. Rachel a try. Go to her website, get a consultation with her. It's free of charge. If you buy her book, 100% of the proceeds are donated to a local cat charity. If you're poor and you can't afford stuff, you can link to All Cats All the Time, ACAT, which is her charity, through the website, and potentially get some funding to help with some supplies. So don't forget to go to those sites. So as always, it's Cat Lady Justin. We'll see you real soon.